Okay. While multiple choice questions and objective answer questions are much easier to solve than full handwritten subjective solutions, there are other dangers that come there with the marking on an OMR sheet. So right now we're just dealing with the dangers of a block shift. A block shift is when you skip a question because you didn't know how to solve it, but when you come down to marking answers on the OMR sheet, you forgot that you skipped a question and you forget to leave a line on the OMR sheet. So we're going to consider a paper. So I've considered a paper that we have administered before, and the test pattern is as follows. There are 20 questions in each subject, and they are divided in 4 parts. The first part has 8 multiple choice questions with single answer correct. Each of them is worth 3 marks with a penalty of 1 mark. Then there are 4 assertion reason questions, each worth 4 marks with a penalty of 1 mark. And then 6 linked comprehension questions, each worth 4 marks with a penalty of 1 mark. And 2 matrix match questions, each matrix having 4 rows, each row being worth 2 marks, and there's a bonus of 2 marks for getting all the rows correct. So that's the test pattern. These are the assumptions we're going to do. We are considering a student who is equally good in all 3 subjects. Now that may not be the case for you, so you need to make adjustments there. Again, we are doing a very idealized case. A student is unable to answer 3 out of the first 18 questions in each subject, and these questions are selected at random. And finally, again, the student is unable to answer 1 row in each of the matrix match questions, and again that row is chosen at random. In case 1, we assume that the student has no block shift, and then case 2, the student has block shifts whenever a question is skipped. Now again, this might not be the case. You may have 1 block shift, you may have 2. Here I'm assuming that every time there is a question skipped, the student is careless and has a block shift. So this is a fully correct answer key. You can take a look at it. So the maximum marks possible from the earlier described pattern is 84 in each subject for an overall of 252. So I'll leave this on here for a few seconds so that you can actually see what the answer key is supposed to be like, and so when you're going back and forth you can see exactly what has happened. So please note, this is the fully correct answer key. Alright, so let's see what is the response without the block shift. So without the block shift, you can see here in question 4, the student has skipped a question. Similarly, if you go down and see question 10 here, the student has skipped, and then question 17 has been skipped. Then in question 19, which is a matrix match, he skipped row X here and row W here. And similarly for the second and third columns, you can check it out, see which rows have been omitted in a sense. No response from the student. Now remember, if a student does not respond to a question, he or she will not get any marks, but he or she will also not be penalized. So if you consider this, you can see that the total for mathematics turns out to be 65, chemistry 66, physics 65, giving an overall score of 196, which is 77.8%. Now let's consider case 2. The student has a block shift. Each of those have been marked with these red arrows, and you can see earlier I mentioned that the student had skipped row 4. Question 4 was omitted, but here he has done a block shift. He has actually marked the option there. So this one is actually his response to question 5, and the one in question 5 is the response to question 6, etc., etc. And you can see that shows up at the end because of the 3 questions that he has omitted but failed to counter the block shift. Each of the subjects has 3 questions that are not responded. Now the student is not penalized for these, but he doesn't get any credit either. Similarly, the same thing happens with the matrix match, and the student is not penalized here at all. There are no negative marks for the matrix match, but it's just that what he could have got, he hasn't. Okay, and you can see now, if you look at this, the totals for mathematics, chemistry and physics are 5, 13 and 1 respectively. Overall score is 19, which is about 7.5%. So if you look at the reduction in marks, You can see this is phenomenal. Yeah, mathematics is 60 marks less, chemistry 53 marks less, physics 64 marks less. Overall, the student has got 177 marks less. If you look at the projections, the student in case 1 who did not have a block shift would easily have got a top 500 rank. The careless student in case 2 who has a block shift every time that he skips a question will get absolutely nothing.